You don't need to be a cat lover to love cat idioms. This video is my 10 favourite cat idioms and expressions. So the first cat idiom I'd like to look at is not enough room to swing a cat. Now we're not talking about a feline cat here, we're talking about this bad boy, which is the dreaded cat of nine tails, which is a whip with 9 lashes, which were either sort of knotted together or had like metal balls sewn into it, designed purely for hurting people, and it did a great job. And this was used several hundred years ago in the military, mainly as a form of punishment. Now, the expression means that the building or the room is very small. Now, for this sort of whip type thing to work properly, you needed space to really sort of get some movement and swing on it. So you might say, for instance, if you when you moved out into your first flat, "Well, my first flat was really small, there wasn't enough room to swing a cat." And of course they mean this one. The cat that got the cream. Now somebody is very pleased with themselves and they've done something or they've achieved something they're really proud of. They might be said to be looking like the cat that got the cream. Because if you imagine if the cat gets hold of the cream, they're kind of all smug. There's an American variation of this, which is they look like the cat that got the canary, but I think the cat that got the cream is slightly nicer. When the cat's away, the mice will play. Now this means that when an authoritative person is absent, the people who are still there will behave in a more relaxed way and maybe not work as hard. Now this authoritative figure could be your boss, it could be a teacher, it could be a parent, doesn't matter. So for instance, somebody might say, "Hey, shouldn't you be working instead of playing on the video games?" And the guy would say, "Well, when the cat's away, they might as well play." This next expression is quite well known, I think, and it's raining cats and dogs. And this means that it is really raining very, very heavily. Now the reason I mention this one is because you'll often see an awful lot of nonsense published on the internet about the origins of this expression. And this is what they'll tell you. That, well, in the olden days, when it was raining, the cats and the dogs would climb up on top of the roof, and if it was raining a lot, they'd lose their footing and they'd slide down the roof, and if you were sitting inside, it would look as if they were raining cats and dogs as they fell down past the window. Now, you don't need to think about this for very long to realise what utter tripe it is. Now we all know that cats don't like water anyway. And if you ever try to get the dog out when it's raining, you'll know how you have to like drag them. You know, you put the lead on and then there's a, you know, you got to kind of drag him out the door. So the idea that when it was raining, the cats and dogs would go up onto the roof, it's just nonsense. I mean, pun intended, this theory holds no water. And it appears that a more plausible explanation is it's a statement on the conditions of the drainage at the time. So if you had a long dry spell and then it rained heavily, you get all sorts of rubbish getting washed down the street, and dead animals included. So the small things like sort of mice and voles you probably didn't notice amongst all the rubbish and the branches of trees and whatever. But larger things like dead cats and dogs were more visible in amongst all the rubbish. And this is the most plausible explanation of where this expression comes from. It's just a statement about the poor drainage in medieval England. More than one way to skin a cat. This is basically a fairly light-hearted way of saying that there are many ways that lead to your objectives. And if you're a cat lover and find this expression somewhat distasteful, perhaps a more animal-friendly version is "many roads lead to Rome." Cat got your tongue? People would say this if someone is being uncharacteristically and unusually quiet and they just want to point this out. So for instance, somebody might say, "You haven't said a word all morning. What's up? cat got your tongue? And this is sort of light-hearted. You can also use it in a slightly more threatening way if you want to, depending on the tone of voice you use. To set the cat among the pigeons. This is used to show that someone has said something or done something that is going to cause alarm or upset to a group of people, or to continue with the bird reference, to ruffle some feathers. So for an example, somebody might say, "Oh, that latest speech by the Prime Minister certainly put the cat among the pigeons." And you can, if you sort of imagine what it looks like, we've got a group of pigeons sort of maybe on the floor pecking away, and then sort of a cat appears, they get all nervous and scatter. Look what the cat dragged in. Now this has two possible ways of being used. One is in a sort of a friendly way to show that you think the other person maybe looks a bit untidy or a bit dishevelled, and you could, or even if you haven't seen him for a long time, you say, "Oh, look what the cat dragged in, I haven't seen you for ages," and then you get them in and have a cup of tea. Or you can use it to indicate the arrival of an unwelcome guest. So you see someone coming you don't like and you say, "God, look what the cat dragged in, who invited him?" A cat burglar. Now this isn't a burglar that steals cats, but it's an agile burglar who climbs up pipes and walls, like a cat would do, to gain access to the window at the top of the house that's open, so he can get inside and steal the valuables. And the last one today, just to keep it to a reasonable time, is to have kittens. And this is to show that you were very, very afraid and scared. So you might say something like, "God, I was so scared I nearly had kittens." You think, well, why kittens? And again, this is one of these origin unknown expressions, and it seems to go back to, again, medieval times and pregnant women. When they had pains and discomfort due to the pregnancy, the local witches would tell them that this is because instead of a baby growing, you have cats growing in there. And of course they would sell you a little potion that would help you get rid of the cats. So it seems that the concept of people taking advantage of other people's ignorance for their own financial gains is absolutely nothing new. So was your favourite cat idiom amongst those? Or which was your favourite cat idiom? Please let me know in the comments below, we'd love to hear about it. So I hope you enjoyed the video and maybe even learnt something new. If you did like it, please let me know by clicking the thumbs up, and if you want to keep up to date with the channel, please do click the subscribe button. As mentioned earlier, there's a blog article with about 22 cat idioms in total. The link's in the description below, so please head on over and check out the article, and while you're there, maybe look at some other articles that are of interest to you. I think that wraps up this video for now. See you later. Bye.